This episode is brought to you by my book, Be Left Behind, available on Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, and everywhere books are sold. If you've ever been interested in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and curious why Bitcoin has gone above $40,000 since the start of 2021, and if it could go even higher, this is the book for you. I've gotten messages in the last few weeks from professors, Silicon Valley investors, and friends and family thanking me for writing a book that brings everybody, no matter where they are, up to speed in language they can understand so that they best know how to approach Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Again, if it's anything you've ever been curious about and want to know where to start, Be Left Behind is the perfect book to do that. And I'm very, very proud of it. You can purchase it on Amazon, your local bookstore, Barnes & Nobles, or if you are interested in an autographed copy, go to my website, yuricataldo.com. This episode is also brought to you by MeetFox.com. MeetFox is the simplest solution to interact with your clients online with their easy-to-use, fully web-based, no tech skills required system. All you have to do is sign up on their site. You can then link your calendar together, and it's a single one-click scheduling. They eliminate the back and forth, will allow you to fill up your calendar directly and quickly. And personally, I love this feature because back and forth to find meetings is a huge pain. You then can do your meetings online on their interface, which works really well. Also, they set up instant payments and automatic invoicing. So if you're charging clients for these meetings, you can do it automatically. You can do it before the meeting happens. It's absolutely fantastic one-stop shopping for anybody who is looking to monetize their time with online meetings. That's meetfox.com. If you use the promo code Yuri, you will get 2 months absolutely free, which is a special deal that they gave me. And stay tuned for a special interview with one of the co-founders of MeetFox on the story behind the company, which is absolutely fantastic. Again, that's meetfox.com. Use the promo code Yuri, Y-U-R-I, at checkout, and you'll get 2 months absolutely free.
Welcome to Advance Your Art. If you are interested in making money from your art, using your artistic background to your advantage when switching careers, or if you are just plain stuck, you've come to the right place. Now let's get started and have some fun with your host, Eureka Talbo.
Hello, and welcome to the 200th episode of Advance Your Art with Yuri Cataldo. Every week I sit down with creative entrepreneurs to discuss the who, what, where, when, and how of their journeys. If you're interested in learning how to build a company, make money from your art, or transition to a new career, you've come to the right place. And as always, please remember to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. Today, for this very special episode, I'm excited to sit down with Ryan and JaNae from the musical group JaNae. Now, for longtime listeners of the show, you will remember JaNae from episode 38, which feels like a decade ago, but it wasn't that long ago, and I'll provide links in the show for notes to that interview about her background. JaNae, Ryan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Really well. It's crazy. I had no idea that was episode 38, and like right when I moved to Chicago, and it's so wonderful to be catching up with you again because so much has changed in so many really awesome and creative ways. And thanks so much for having me back on the show and having Ryan on the show. We're so excited to see you.
Of course. Yeah, I had to Google it. I mean, yes, Google. I Googled my own show because I knew that you and I chatted, again, what seems like forever ago, but I had to look it up, and I was like, oh, great. It was so long ago. But I'm excited to have you both on the show. So where are you two located these days, and how are things in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, so I'll start the beginning of this one and let Ryan fill in the details. But we are in the Chicago area, and we live in a historic farmhouse that Ryan, myself, and other members of REB Records, which is the micro record label that Ryan runs, we've sort of created an artist collaborative by transforming a portion of the house, the second floor, into a recording studio, currently a live streaming studio. We'll talk more about that as we move forward, I'm assuming. And yeah, so we're in the Chicago area and have been spending quite a bit of time at home in recent months. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. We have access to, all of the tools we would want to create, but that also brings with it, some difficulties. I think, because when it's always available, it doesn't have the same onus as like paying for studio time. So you don't like show up 100% ready for that like 3-hour session. It's kind of like, well, we could record vocals or not. It doesn't matter. So there's like a give and take, but I think for what we like and sort of the lifestyle that we want, having literally half of the living space devoted completely just to creative endeavors, it has been really useful for us and allows us to do a lot of work at a pretty high level constantly.
Yeah, and I would say something that's occurred to me in, the last, I guess, 4 years of living in Chicago is just how awesome of an artist community there is, not just in Chicago City, where recently I've been collaborating with artists in Chicago, and then, there's the whole like greater Chicagoland area, the suburban area, where there's a lot of people who want to hang out, do cool things, and it's turned into a really awesome community, even despite the difficulties of the pandemic over the last few months.
Yeah, excellent. So I'm going to start with Ryan on this one. So Ryan, you are I would say prolific is the best way I can describe this. I feel like every video I watch of you, you're playing a new instrument or a new like technique. So where did your, let's say, love of music come from, and what was it that made you want to learn so many instruments in so many different variations?
Sure. Well, I grew up here in Chicago in Evanston, actually. Both my parents were music majors at Northwestern. So
okay.
The music runs deep, but I will add a caveat to that. And my brother is also a classical violinist with Grant Park Symphony and Pittsburgh Symphony. So all professional musicians, and my sister as well. All of them are focused on classical music. And I also focused on classical music and grew up playing piano and viola and then got into trumpet and stuff. But I was sort of the black sheep of the family and went towards playing jazz. I was a real rebel. So that was sort of my life was practicing every day, because that's also what my parents did. My dad also owned a music store. So like I had access to every instrument, any instrument. And I just really did not want to play the instruments of anyone else in the family, because they were all, I'll just say, better. Like there was an ease to what they did that I didn't have. And so I was always looking for something that no one could coach me on all day. And trumpet ended up being a great option for that. And just in college playing, I wanted to play bass. So I bought a bass before I went to college, or my parents bought it or something. And literally like the third day that I was in the dorms at University of Michigan, I heard some people playing music down the hall. So I just went over. I was like, hey, what's up? And there were a couple guys playing bassoon. I kid you not, bassoon and acoustic guitar and singing. And I was like, yeah, I play bass. And so I went and unwrapped it. I never even played it. And went back, and those guys are still friends, and we had bands for 4 years throughout college and stuff. So it's just been a lifelong sort of constant, which I know is a very unique experience. And throughout high school, college, and then into a professional career, I pursued more and more composition, and then the technical side, both live sound, integrated sound, project management of tech events, and then into the recording side of it, which most of it up until about 5 years ago has been focused on classical and jazz music. with the occasional sort of pop gig or like folk and stuff. The last 5 years have been more and more of the I would say the pop genre, hip hop, that sort of stuff, which means my composition skills come in a lot more because I end up writing a lot of that, and obviously fits into the JaNae project and the album that's coming out that we're releasing soon.
Yeah.
When are we releasing it?
Friday, January 8th.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of the background. I love it. I mean, there's guitars and bass and keyboard and a ukulele and a flugelhorn. This one, a lot of people don't know this one. It's like a interesting flugel trumpet thing. Sounds great.
Yeah.
You know, you got to have your instruments around.
Of course, of course.
So I just love sound is really what it is. It's whether it's music or sound effects or sound design or ADR or whatever. I just love it.
Yeah, excellent. So JaNae, same question for you. Where did your love of music come from, and how has it evolved into, let's say, the JaNae project right now?
Yeah, so I studied piano and flute when I was essentially, well, piano in second grade and then flute going through high school. And my mom is a musician and a piano player, and it has always been for me a place to find community. And I was never, I did all of the contests and the competitive side when I was younger, but that was never really like, the passion for the art for me, as far as like performing some like classical piece, which is beautiful and awesome, but it felt more like a task than something that was like truly liberating. But as you and I talked about in the last time we did an interview, my studies in undergrad and grad school, even though I was still involved with symphonic wind ensemble and music groups, was primarily in visual art. And specifically, I started focusing on ways to make performative art and interactive art and art that sort of challenge space, architecture, form, the things we see on an everyday basis, whether that's like the shopping mall that you see on the side of the road or that you like shopping at, the way that you consume at these places, how you consume at these places. And it evolved into my practice as an artist evolved into this performative practice where I was going to places and enacting these absurd performances in spaces, whether that was walking on a tightrope, dressed in a tutu in a 60% vacant suburban housing development, or whether that was dressing up as a mannequin and standing inside of a storefront in a dead mall, and then constantly videotaping these experiences. And so when I started thinking about the JaNae project, I was thinking, what is a media that is both performative, potentially absurd and ridiculous, but also fun and accessible, and something that I would love to learn how to make, and something that I think I could pull other folks in to really enjoy the fun of the art itself, as opposed to it being, some piece that you see in a white wall museum gallery. So sort of thinking about how to expand the boundaries of the art and of the performance. And to me, pop music seemed like a good way to go, even though like 6 years ago, as I started thinking about how to actually execute this, I was like, pop music, it couldn't be that hard, right? I mean, they just sing the same words over and over again. As it turns out, making and writing and composing and creating pop music is really hard, especially when you're trying to cram big ideas into it. And so I sort of set up these parameters for myself with the JaNae project, where I knew I wanted to talk about bigger concepts in the music, but still have really catchy choruses. I wanted to create music that was danceable, but you would also maybe do a sort of double take where you're like, wait, what was that about again? And so that sort of became sort of my goals in the process. And so moving to Chicago and meeting Ryan and starting to collaborate with him in our band, Black's Backbone, it turned out to be a really great working relationship, songwriting relationship, and he has been, really on board from the very